What happens when Angelina Jolie sits down at the table and Anna Navarro decides to push a little harder than anyone expected? Make sure to subscribe to the Star Talks and like and comment for more talk show coverage. The moment the cameras come up, the studio already has that unmistakable buzz, not loud, but electric enough that the audience seems to be leaning forward before anyone even speaks. Whoopi gives her usual warm smile across the table, glancing at Sunny, then at Sarah, then Anna, who's adjusting her cards with that familiar mix of excitement and readiness. In the center guest seat sits Angelina Jolie, poised, calm, her expression unreadable but undeniably present. She offers a quick smile to the crowd as they applaud, but there's something in her eyes, maybe anticipation, maybe caution. It's hard to tell this early. Whoopi leans in with that gentle ease she's mastered after decades of being the steady hand at the table. "All right, everybody," she begins. "We're joined today by someone who has done so much in film, humanitarian work, and global advocacy. Angelina Jolie is here." The crowd erupts again, and Angelina gives a modest nod, taking a small breath as the applause settles. Sarah jumps in first, her tone bright. "Angelina, we're really happy you're here. You've been doing so much, directing, working with the UN, raising awareness about refugee children. There's a lot happening in your world." Angelina smiles politely. "Thank you. I'm grateful to be invited. There's a lot I'm focused on right now, some of it public, some of it personal, but I'm glad we get to talk about the important parts of it today." Sunny folds her hands. "You've also been vocal recently about women using their voices, especially when dealing with powerful institutions. That sparked a big conversation." Angelina nods. "It's something we all have experiences with. Whether it's in the workplace, in our personal lives, a lot of people feel silenced. And when you work in environments that are built to protect certain power structures, speaking up becomes complicated." There's an immediate hum from the audience. They know what she's referencing without her having to say anything directly. It's all there in the air. Whoopi lets the moment breathe. Then Anna leans forward, shifting the tone just a bit, not confrontational yet, but edging toward firmer territory. "Angelina, you've talked about power structures, and I think a lot of people feel that's, let's call it selective. Because sometimes it looks like you speak out when it benefits you, and stay silent when it doesn't. Some people say that." The audience makes a low, collective "oh," and Angelina raises her eyebrows slightly, not offended but definitely surprised by how quickly that came up. She takes a moment. "I'm not sure I agree with that," she says calmly. "I speak up where it matters and where I feel I can actually contribute something meaningful." Anna doesn't back down. "But critics say that you've used the press to favor your narrative in certain personal situations, and then you talk about being silenced in others. Isn't that contradictory?" More murmurs ripple through the audience. Sarah shifts nervously. Sunny glances from Anna to Angelina, sensing the temperature rise. Angelina straightens a bit, her posture no longer just poised. Now it's attentive, bracing. "I think," she says carefully, "there's a difference between addressing situations that affect your family's safety or well-being and using media to manipulate anything. I've never done the latter." Anna tilts her head. "But some people think you have." Whoopi interjects with a quick raise of her hand. Hold on. Let's let her respond before we start going in circles here." Angelina nods appreciatively toward Whoopi. Then she turns back to Anna. "There's a lot said about me. Not all of it is accurate. I've learned to focus on what's real, not on narratives that are created around me." The room goes quiet, even though the tension is thick. Anna, however, continues flipping through her cards as if she's preparing her next point. But before she can, Sunny steps in. "Angelina," she says, "you've faced scrutiny for years, whether it's your work, your relationships, or your activism. Do you feel like public perception has been unfairly harsh?" Angelina gives a small laugh, not amused, but acknowledging the truth. "I think people often forget actors are human. I've made mistakes. I've learned from them. But when it comes to my work as an advocate or as a mother, I don't take that lightly. And I won't let misinformation replace the truth." The audience applauds gently, a supportive wave. But Anna isn't done. She looks up again. "I hear what you're saying. But when you talk about misinformation, you know people are going to ask, do you take any responsibility for the media storms that surround you? Because sometimes it looks like you, well, ignite them." The crowd reacts louder this time, gasps, whispers, even a scattered wow from the back row. Angelina's expression shifts, not angry, but noticeably firmer. I don't ignite anything, she says, her tone measured but unmistakably edged. The media will do what the media does. If I speak out, it's because I need to, not because I want drama. Anna gives a tight smile. But you have to admit, drama tends to follow you. Whoopi immediately leans back in her chair and exclaims, Lord have mercy, which sets off a wave of laughter from the audience, breaking the tension for a split second. Angelina doesn't laugh. She simply looks at Anna, long enough that the air feels heavier. Drama follows every woman who stands up for herself, she says. If you see that as me attracting it, maybe that says more about what we expect from women than about me personally. The audience erupts, cheers, applause, even a few people standing. Anna opens her mouth but stops, eyebrows raised slightly as if she didn't expect that level of pushback. Saya jumps in quickly, trying to smooth things. Let's take a breath here, she says with a nervous smile. Because I think Angelina is making a point that a lot of women at home relate to. But the exchange has clearly shifted the energy. Angelina is no longer the guest simply answering questions. Anna is no longer easing into criticism. There's a line now, lightly drawn, but unmistakable. Sunny clears her throat. I think this is an important conversation. Angelina, you've been vocal about systemic issues in Hollywood. But you've also been quiet about certain things. Is that strategic or protective? Angelina nods. Protective. Especially when it comes to my children. Some things I won't say publicly out of respect for their privacy. That's not silence, that's parenting. Another wave of applause. Anna watches her closely. But do you think that selective approach creates confusion for the public? Angelina turns her head slowly, meeting Anna's eyes directly. I'm not raising my children based on what confuses the public, she replies. I'm raising them to be safe, strong, and compassionate. If the public is confused, they'll be fine. The audience bursts into laughter and claps again, louder this time. Anna leans back in her chair, slightly taken aback. Saya glances at Whoopi, who gives her a subtle "we're going into deep water today" look. The cameras catch everything, the tension, the reactions, the subtle shifts in the host's posture. The producers are probably scrambling in the control room, debating whether to go to commercial early. But the conversation isn't over. Not by a long shot. And sitting across from Anna, Angelina Jolie has clearly decided she's not backing down today. The tension in the studio is palpable as the audience murmurs quietly, half excited, half nervous, waiting to see where the conversation goes next. Angelina shifts slightly in her chair, not defensive, but clearly more alert now. She's in engaged mode, not guest promo mode. Whoopi senses it and leans forward, hands clasped, trying to steer things back into calmer water, at least for the moment. Okay, Whoopi says, using that voice she reserves for moments when she's trying to keep the show from slipping into chaos. Let's reset a little bit. We're not here to corner anybody. We're here to have a conversation. That's what we do at this table. Angelina nods politely. I appreciate that. But Anna doesn't look entirely ready to let go of the thread. She flips through her cards again, though everyone can tell she already knows exactly which one she's going to reference next. Sunny jumps in before Anna can speak. Angelina, I want to ask you something from a legal perspective, because, as you know, I'm always thinking about the legal angle, she says with a slight smile, easing the intensity. When you talk about the systems you've encountered, especially in Hollywood, do you think the industry has genuinely changed? Or do you think it's mostly performative? Angelina relaxes a little at the shift. Some parts have changed, but a lot of it is still performative, as you said. Real change doesn't happen just because people make statements or post hashtags. It happens when people behind the scenes, the ones who hold the most power, start acting differently. The audience claps, appreciating the insight. Sawa nods thoughtfully. But, Angelina continues, I do think more people are willing to question authority now. That wasn't always the case. Anna lifts her chin slightly. And do you feel that includes you questioning your own role in situations? Or do you think the accountability is always on others? The audience reacts instantly, gasps, whispers, even someone saying, oh wow, loud enough that the microphones pick it up faintly. Sunny looks at Anna sharply. Anna. No, I think it's a fair question, Angelina says, surprising the panel. She leans in, face open, tone steady. Everyone has to reflect on their choices. I've made decisions I would handle differently today. Anna doesn't blink. Like which ones? The room tightens again. Even Whoopi's eyes widen a little, as if thinking, oh boy, Here we go. Angelina pauses. She glances down for a second. It's subtle, but it shows she's choosing her words carefully. There are things I've done impulsively, she says. Especially when I was younger. I've spoken emotionally when I should have paused. I've taken on more than I could handle at times. Anna pushes gently. Anything more recent? This time the crowd doesn't gasp, they groan. A low, collective, "Come on," mixed with shocked laughter. Sarah actually winces, pressing her lips together. Angelina sits back slightly, not avoiding the question, but making it clear she's aware of what's happening. "Anna," she says calmly, "I'm here to talk about my work, advocacy, and projects. My personal life is always going to be complicated, but that doesn't give anyone license to insinuate things that aren't true." Anna opens her mouth, but Whoopi cuts in immediately. "Yeah, okay, we're not gonna do the insinuations thing. We're keeping this above board." The audience applauds, relieved. Angelina turns slightly towards Sunny. "To your original point, yes, I self-reflect constantly. But I'll never regret protecting my children. That is non-negotiable." There's a powerful applause that rolls across the studio like a wave. Anna sits back, but the expression on her face says she's not entirely done. Still, she lets the applause run its course. Sarah tries to lighten the mood. "Angelina, you've been outspoken about supporting young people globally, especially girls who've faced trauma. Is that shaped by your own experiences growing up?" Angelina nods softly. "I've been through things that taught me empathy. I didn't always fit in, even when I looked like I should. I understand what it feels like to be misunderstood or judged harshly. I think that's why I connect with kids who have gone through difficult situations." The atmosphere calms a bit. Some audience members nod sympathetically. Sunny smiles warmly. "You've always been very open about wanting people to feel safe. That's something I admire." Angelina gives her a grateful look. "Thank you." Anna adjusts her microphone. "I think safety is important, too. But it's also important to separate what is activism from what is, let's say, public relations." The audience reacts instantly, louder this time, mixed with groans and murmurs of disbelief. Sarah looks stunned. "Anna." Whoopi finally says it outright. "Anna, what are you trying to do here?" Angelina raises her hand gently, signaling she'd like to reply. She stays composed, but her eyes are sharper now, her tone firmer. "Are you suggesting my humanitarian work is PR?" she asks. Anna doesn't flinch. "I'm saying some people see it that way. I'm giving you a chance to respond." The room gets dead quiet. Sunny shakes her head slowly, almost in disbelief. Angelina's work has been documented for decades. She's been in the field, in dangerous areas. That's not PR. Audience applause breaks out again. Angelina's jaw tightens slightly. This is the first time she's visibly annoyed. "I don't do what I do for cameras. Most of the work I've done isn't even photographed. I go because people need help, and I can't ignore that." Anna shrugs lightly. "But you have to admit, the media coverage didn't hurt your image." The audience erupts, not applause this time, but outrage. Gasps, stunned laughter, even boos. A few people shout, "No, and that's not fair." Angelina lets them react, but her gaze stays locked on Anna. When the noise settles, she speaks, quiet but unwavering. "My image is the least important part of what I do," she says. "If you think I'm flying into conflict zones because I care how I look on television, then you don't understand me at all." The crowd roars with applause, some people even standing. Whoopi taps the table, impressed. Sunny nods firmly, supporting her. Sarah exhales, relieved Angelina handled it so cleanly. Anna listens, then nods once, almost conceding. "I hear you, and I respect your commitment, but you know how the public can be." Angelina doesn't break eye contact. "Yes, and part of changing that public perception is having conversations that are honest, not accusatory." Whoopi cuts in before Anna can answer, knowing the dynamic is on the edge again. Look, this is the view. We debate. We ask tough questions. But we also don't want anyone feeling attacked." Anna gives a slight nod. "I'm not attacking. I'm questioning. There's a difference." Angelina replies instantly. "There is. And I can handle questions. But let's make sure they are rooted in truth, not speculation." The audience cheers again. Sarah leans forward, eager to shift to safer ground. "Angelina, we do want to talk about your new project." But Anna cuts in softly. "Just one more thing." The entire panel groans in unison. The audience laughs. Even Angelina shakes her head with a small, disbelieving smile. Whoopi puts her hands up. Anna, you better make it a good one. Anna smirks slightly, then looks at Angelina. Do you feel misunderstood by the public? Or do you think people understand you exactly as you are? The question lands differently. Not hostile. Not accusatory. Almost strangely introspective. Angelina pauses. Then she says, I think people know parts of me. But the parts they don't see, the parts that matter most, those belong to my kids, my closest friends, and the people I help. I don't need the world to fully understand me. The audience loves that answer. Warm applause, nodding, even a few emotional reactions visible among the crowd. Sunny says quietly, That's beautifully said. But beneath the softened moment, the earlier tension hasn't disappeared. It's simmering, waiting, and everyone can feel the conversation isn't done evolving. And Anna, watching Angelina closely, seems ready to push one more time, just not yet. The studio feels different now, not hostile, but charged. Everyone at the table knows they've crossed into deeper emotional ground, the kind that either leads to a breakthrough or an explosion. The audience sits forward, some with hands clasped, others whispering quietly as the cameras pan across the table. Whoopi tries again to shift the tone. Angelina, before we get into anything else, I do want to talk about the project Sarah mentioned, because you've been working with young refugees for years, and your new initiative is getting a lot of attention. Angelina smiles slightly, grateful for the redirect. Yes, it's something that's been in progress for a long time. The goal is to create a safe space for displaced children to receive not just education, but psychological support. Many of them have gone through trauma that's never addressed. The audience nods, clearly interested. This is the Angelina Jolie they're used to seeing on talk shows, the composed advocate, the woman with purpose and clarity. Sarah brightens. And you've been on the ground in multiple countries while developing this. What has been the most difficult part of that process? Angelina leans in. Getting governments to prioritize children. It always sounds like a given, but politically, children's issues don't get the attention they deserve. There are promises made, then forgotten. Sunny speaks softly, and you've seen that firsthand. I have, Angelina says. Too many times. Anna, who has been quiet for the first time in several minutes, adjusts in her seat. The audience shifts as if they can sense she's preparing to jump back in. Whoopi notices and cuts her a glance, almost as if saying, Please don't light another fire yet. But Anna sits forward anyway. Angelina, she says, her tone measured. Your work with refugees is undeniably important. But I want to pivot slightly, because there's something that's been bothering a lot of people. The audience murmurs again. Sarah closes her eyes briefly, already anticipating trouble. Angelina looks at Anna calmly. Okay. Anna continues. You talk about giving children a voice, advocating for them. And that's admirable. But some critics argue that you've been very public with your own children, especially during difficult moments. Some say you've allowed the media to see too much of them. How do you respond to that? The room freezes. The question hits harder than anything Anna has asked so far. Sunny's mouth opens slightly, stunned. Sarah's eyes widen. Whoopi lifts an eyebrow and mutters, Oh boy, under her breath into the microphone. Angelina doesn't react immediately. She takes a deep breath, her face still composed, but there's no mistaking the shift in her posture. This one hurt. Not in a dramatic way, in a very real, personal way. She speaks calmly, but with an unmistakable force underneath. My children have been dragged into situations they never asked for. And I've spent years trying to protect their privacy while others tried to exploit it. Anna listens, but doesn't back off. But you've also spoken publicly about them at times. Angelina nods. Only when necessary to defend them. To correct misinformation. To keep them safe. Sunny jumps in quickly. Children of celebrities are often forced into the spotlight by the public, not the parents. And in Angelina's case, there's been a lot of harsh coverage she didn't ask for. Anna holds up a hand. I'm not accusing, I'm asking. Angelina looks straight at her. And I'm answering. Every public comment I've made about my children has been made to protect them. Never for attention. Never for narrative. The audience applauds, supportive and loud. Anna presses gently, but still firmly. So you don't believe you've contributed to the public interest in your family. Angelina's eyes narrow just slightly. The public interest existed long before I ever said a word. And I've spent more time fighting it than feeding it. The audience applauds again, louder this time. Whoopi tries to break the tension with humor. Look, people have been obsessed with Angelina Jolie since the dinosaurs were roaming the earth. Okay, let's not pretend she created that. The audience bursts into laughter, and even Angelina cracks a small smile. But Anna leans in again. I understand that. But I do think it's fair to ask whether there's a line between advocacy and oversharing. Sunny turns toward her, visibly annoyed now. Anna, you're a political commentator. You know better than anyone how the media twists things. Anna shrugs. I do. That's why I'm asking the tough questions. Saya speaks softly but firmly. There are tough questions, and then there are personal lines. I feel like we're stepping close to one. Angelina stays calm. Almost too calm. The type of calm that comes from someone who has had to defend her family more times than she can count. She speaks clearly, each word deliberate. I have never used my children as a tool, she says. Not once. Not ever. And anyone who suggests that doesn't understand me, my family, or what we've been through. The room explodes with applause, long, loud, emotional. Even Whoopi taps the table in approval. Sunny nods emphatically. Sarah looks relieved. Anna sits back, absorbing the reaction. She doesn't look angry. She looks thoughtful. Almost as if she didn't expect the pushback to be that unanimous. But the moment isn't over. Angelina continues, her voice steady but intensely sincere. My children know everything I do is for them. They know what I protect them from. And they know the truth of our lives, not the headlines. The audience claps again, many nodding in support. Anna waits for the applause to die down. Then she says, more carefully this time, I can respect that. I really can. But you also have to understand, when you're a public figure, people ask questions. Sometimes uncomfortable ones. Angelina nods slowly. I understand that. But asking a question doesn't mean it's rooted in fairness. And some questions, especially about children, should be asked with caution. The audience murmurs in agreement. Several people applaud lightly. Anna exhales, tapping her cards against the table. Okay, that's fair. Whoopi smiles, relieved the moment didn't escalate further. See, we can all breathe now. The audience laughs. But then, with the tension finally seeming to settle, Anna goes for one more line of questioning, this time even more direct and far more personal. She looks at Angelina. Do you feel like Hollywood respects you? Or do you think there are people in the industry who still hold things against you? The audience reacts immediately. Loud gasps, chatter, a stunned oh my god from someone in the front row. Sunny shakes her head. Anna. Sarah whispers, here we go again. Angelina lifts her eyebrows, surprised by the boldness of it, but not shaken. She takes a moment, then says, I think there are people in Hollywood who don't know me at all but think they do. And there are people who've judged me based on rumors instead of truth. But I've stopped trying to change those opinions. Anna watches her. So you feel misunderstood? Angelina shakes her head. No, I feel misinterpreted. There's a difference. People decide who they want you to be. I can't control that. The audience nods. Many clap lightly. Anna leans forward. And are you okay with that? Angelina looks at her, steady, composed, unflinching. I'm okay with who I am. The rest is noise. The audience erupts, clapping, cheering, even a few people standing briefly. It's a powerful moment, the kind that talk shows replay later in promos. Whoopi laughs, slapping the table. Well, that's that on that. But the conversation's not done. Because Anna, now fully aware she's in deep territory, takes a breath and asks the question that finally pushes Angelina to fire back in a way the audience will be talking about for days. And when it happens, the entire studio reacts, loudly, instantly, and unmistakably. The audience is buzzing now, the kind of restless energy that spreads when people know a moment is about to break open. Angelina sits poised, her hands folded, her expression calm but alert. Anna studies her closely, almost as if waiting for the perfect moment. Whoopi tries one last time to smooth the air. Let's not go into territory that's gonna get us all yelled at by standards and practices, she jokes. The audience laughs, but only lightly. They are watching Anna. They know she isn't done. And she isn't. Anna leans forward, voice low but clear. Angelina, there's something a lot of people still question, and it's been in the headlines for years. Do you ever worry that the public sees you as someone who creates conflict rather than avoids it? The studio goes silent. Sarah covers her mouth in shock. Sunny's eyes widen. Whoopi's head snaps toward Anna like she can't believe the question was actually asked out loud. The audience reacts instantly. Loud gasps, some laughter in disbelief, some groans of "oh, come on," and a long, stunned woo echoing from the back row. Angelina blinks once, clearly taken aback, but not rattled. Her gaze sharpens, not angry, but focused, the kind of look someone gives when they've reached their limit. She sits up straighter. "Are you asking me if I create conflict?" Anna folds her hands. "I'm asking if you're aware that some people see you that way." Sunny leans in, frustrated. "Anna, that's not fair." Anna keeps her eyes on Angelina. "I'm not attacking her. I'm asking what people talk about publicly." Angelina inhales slowly, then speaks with a tone so steady it immediately quiets the room. "I don't create conflict," she says. "But I also don't run from it when something is wrong." The audience murmurs in agreement. Angelina continues, "Standing up for yourself, or for your children, or for anyone vulnerable, that isn't creating conflict. That's setting boundaries." The crowd applauds strongly. Anna lifts a brow. "But you've had very public battles." This time Angelina doesn't hesitate. Her voice is low, unwavering, and sharper than it has been the entire show. "Yes," she says, "because sometimes silence protects the wrong people." The audience reacts so loudly the audio peaks, cheering, clapping, even a few people shouting approval. Anna starts to respond, but Angelina gently raises her hand. "And let me be very clear," she continues. "People who have never lived my life, never experienced what I've had to navigate, don't get to label me as creating conflict just because I refuse to stay quiet." Sunny nods proudly. "That's right." Angelina adds, "And if someone finds truth uncomfortable, that's not my issue." The audience erupts again. Anna pauses, absorbing the reaction. For the first time all episode, she seems unsure. Not embarrassed, but reconsidering her approach. Whoopi smiles, leaning back. "Well, that's one way to shut it down." The audience laughs and applauds, loving every second. Sarah exhales in relief. "Angelina, I think people appreciate hearing that from you directly." Angelina's expression softens. "I'm not perfect, but I'm honest, and I'm protective. And those two things don't always make people comfortable." Anna lightly taps her pen against her note cards, then surprises everyone. "I hear you, and thank you for answering that directly." The atmosphere shifts, still intense, but calmer. Sunny takes the chance to move things forward. "You know, what I appreciate is that you've stayed composed through all of this. Not everyone could." Angelina smiles slightly. "It's been a long life. I've learned patience." The audience laughs warmly. Whoopi looks at Angelina. "Listen, kid, you handled yourself. And I respect that. Truly." Another round of applause. But then something unexpected happens. A woman in the audience stands and calls out, "Angelina, we support you." And people cheer, clapping loudly, several standing with her. It's spontaneous, heartfelt, and Angelina looks genuinely moved. She places a hand over her heart. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The studio applauds again, softer this time, more emotional. Saya, smiling, says, "Before we wrap, Angelina, is there anything you want people to understand about you that maybe gets lost in the noise?" Angelina thinks for a moment. "I want people to remember that I'm a mother first. Everything else, the films, the activism, the headlines, comes after that. My kids are my world, and everything I do is for them." The audience applauds gently. Whoopi nods. "All right, that feels like the note to end on." But Anna surprisingly adds, "And, for what it's worth, even if my questions were blunt, I appreciate how openly you responded." Angelina gives a small, polite nod. "Thank you. It's not warm, but it's respectful." The camera pans across the table, capturing the final energy, still charged, but settled enough to move into the show's final moments. Whoopi closes the segment. Angelina Jolie, everybody. Her new project is available to support online. Go check it out, and we'll be right back. The audience applauds as the show cuts to break. But the story doesn't end in the studio. After the segment, backstage reports begin circulating almost immediately. Audience members pull out their phones the second the camera is cut. Clips of Angelina firmly correcting Anna spread across social platforms within minutes. A short video of the moment she said silence protects the wrong people skyrockets on X and Instagram. On TikTok, fans post reactions, many praising Angelina for staying calm under pressure. Comments flood in. She handled that like a queen. Anna went too far. Angelina stayed classy the whole time. Even people who weren't in the audience start stitching the clip, debating whether Anna's questions were too personal or just part of the job. By the evening, entertainment outlets are running headlines like, Anna Navarro and Angelina Jolie clash on live TV, audience gasps, Angelina Jolie fires back in rare moment of on-air tension, fans praise Angelina after intense exchange on The View. Producers of the show reportedly received thousands of messages, some defending Anna's tough questioning, many more supporting Angelina's responses. Within hours, the moment becomes one of the most watched clips of the week. And whether people take Angelina's side or Anna's, one thing is clear. The tension was real, the reactions were real, and everyone is talking about it. If you enjoyed this full breakdown of the moment, share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to the Star Talks for more real talk show stories.